There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, if you like. 1, 2, 3, set, go.
Right now on the Power Chord Hour, we're talking to this week's guest, Mr. Mike Hollins, who's the owner and founder of one of my favorite record labels, TDR Records. And over the years, TDR has released music from Punchline, The Promise Hero, Barely Blind, Yellowbird Mantra, tons of past guests on here, and many, many more. So we're going to talk about his label, what it's like to run a label, which I've always been interested in, and get into all of that. Mike, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I've been excited for this. I was thinking about it earlier. I think you're the only person who's ever had an episode of this show named after you. I forgot the first time Bobby Vaughn was on here, we called it the Mike Hollins Love Fest. So with that said, I'm surprised it's taken this long to have you on. So thank you very much for agreeing to come on, and I'm surprised I haven't asked you sooner.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been listening to you for years and corresponding with you for even more years. So it's good to finally chat on the phone.
Yeah, this man has sent me a lot of packages through the years. I've bought in many grab bags and different things from the label, and I do want to get into that because I've always been interested in just running a label, what it takes, and including current day, and I mean also the fact that you've been. I was thinking about it too. You've been doing it for. I mean, how many years now have you been doing TDR? Because it's a lot longer than I was thinking.
Sure. So officially about 16 years, but wow. I mean, really, I've been doing it since I was in a band. So we're going on about 20, 21 years now.
Oh, gee. Yeah. See, like, I don't know. Not that I think of you as like, say like the new, like brand new, but it's like, wow, I really forgot that you'd been around that long. But before we get into the label itself, I mean, going way back, like what was the music that first got you interested? Like what were the first artists growing up that got you into music in the first place?
I mean, I have to say my favorite band, Green Day, for sure. And after hearing about them, it was, I remember the summer 94, right before Woodstock, because a friend of mine or something had pay-per-view, and like, you know, we'd somehow gotten the CD from my parents and saw them at Woodstock and was like, okay, this is my band. So from there, it just morphed into, you know, like The Offspring, Rancid. Then I found Blink-182, and it was just like every one of these bands just kind of, you know, spoke to me like this is where I belong.
How old were you like when you started going to shows?
My first concert, I think I was 12 or 13 when I saw Green Day at the Nimrod tour.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
That
was awesome.
Do you remember like set list wise? Like did they play like a Nimrod heavy set list?
Yeah, I would say about five or six songs. You know, the ones that I can remember, Nice Guys Finish Last, Redundant, Take Back, pretty sure Scattered, and then they did close with Time of Your Life and Prosthetic Head.
Oh, nice. That's I mean, are they still your favorite band current day?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Every song, every album. Yeah, for sure.
I like that. No, I love Green Day, and my interest for Insomniac, somehow I never realized the genius of it until about a year ago. And like for the last year, I think I listened to it at least 3 times a week. So my like love for Green Day has been like reignited again lately.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I would love to talk about Insomniac the whole hour. It's my favorite album by them. It's probably my favorite artwork, favorite album in general. I mean, just the whole thing is just so good. And, you know, just everything that was going on with that band at that time, you know, when they released it, they were still on top of their game with Dookie. And it's just like, you don't see bands do that at all. They you know, they don't release an album while their other album is doing, you know, phenomenal.
I did an episode on it, and then we'll move on. But I mean, as we're talking about Insomniac, like, yeah, it blew my mind because I did an episode about it with a friend, and before doing that episode, I never realized Insomniac came out a year later. Like, yeah, right, a year after Dookie.
So technically a calendar year. So Dookie came out February 1st, 1994, and Insomniac came out, I believe, October 13th or 14th of 95. So, I mean, really, they wrote and recorded Insomniac probably within, I don't know, within a year of Dookie coming out, because
that's nuts.
Yeah, because they started to blow up in August and September of 94, and then, yeah, pretty much a year later they released Insomniac. And
that's an album and Dookie had so many singles that were being played for so long too that it's like that stuff was still being played on the radio as they're releasing another album. Yeah, it's nuts.
It was a crazy time. Like I didn't understand because I was so young. I didn't understand, how rare that was or whatnot. But it was just like, oh, cool, they're coming out with another album. I got to get this. And I'll say one more thing about Insomniac. I had my my birthday party that year in December of 95, and I was already the biggest Green Day fan because I would say out of the 20 people I invited, probably got 15 Insomniac CDs for my birthday.
Nice. How many did you keep?
I mean, I have a couple right now, so I'm sure I returned all of them.
Oh man. I feel like you got into music in a good era, but I mean, like, did you grow up in Chicago?
Yes, in the southwest suburbs.
So, I mean, like, what was when you started going to, local shows? I don't know when that was. Like, I know you said you saw Green Day, but, like, when you started, going to shows with, local bands, what was the scene like when you were growing up there?
So, I went to, there's two shows that stick out. My first local shows, one was at a coffee shop in Palos Heights, and the other was at a skate park in Woodstock, both in Illinois. And I mean, I was just brand new to this whole thing. Like I had only gone to the city to see, national touring acts and at large venues. It was not until then that I was like, oh my gosh, bands my age or within my age are playing just down the street from me and, on a smaller scale, but it was like, oh, this is possible. Like we can go to shows, we could play shows. And it just started going to these local coffee house shows that were like once a month. And then, from there, people like me and other bands heard of it and started booking shows more often. So instead of like one show a month, we had a couple shows a month, and it became every weekend. And then from there, over the course of a couple of years, during the late 90s, early 2000s, just shows pretty much every day of the week.
That's really cool. I feel like on here I always talk about the New Jersey scene a lot because it was really special for like a decade. But like Chicago seems to be another one where there was a stretch of time, maybe even a few times throughout the years. I think even more recently they kind of had a revival for a while. But that's a really special scene too, where like I feel like you have really supportive people. Like you can, like you were saying, like you could actually get shows going. I take it there are more than enough bands to fill up a lineup. Like that's really cool, and not every city has that.
Yeah, I think we were. I mean, I didn't realize it at the time. I know we were definitely spoiled because there were so many bands, so many people, and everyone wanted to just go to a show and play a show. And the era that I grew up in, playing shows and going to shows was more 2000 to 2004, 2005. I love listening to anything that Mike Park from Asian Man Records does. And he talks about like the Chicago scene in the 90s. And like, I'd wish that I was able to see, every single band that Brendan Kelly has been in, before 1999, which would have been cool. But, I was lucky enough to see bands like Alistair, Fall Out Boy, Spitalfield, Knockouts, come up, Plain White T's come up from, no one at a show to, all right, they're playing, huge venues and arenas now.
That is amazing. And now did you, I guess during that timeline, I'm not sure, by the time you were going to shows, was like Fireside Bowl still a thing? Like, were you seeing shows there, or was that kind of over by that time?
Oh no, that was Fireside was in its heyday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I discovered Fireside in '99 or 2000. We had heard about it. Again, we just heard about it from people. There was no internets where you could go up and look up these places. It's just like, hey, there's this band, they're playing this bowling alley in Chicago. Want to go see them? You go there. Every show is like $5, and you go. You can. And I got to see every single band that was touring during those years at the Fireside, which is I think a 200 cap room, but I can only imagine how many more people they shoved into that place. Like it was beyond capacity every show. That there was a solid lineup at. But yeah, Fireside Bowl, my favorite venue to go to shows at was that place for sure.
Did you ever play there?
Yes. Yeah, we got to play there 3 times. Twice with basically nobody there, and one time was with Fall Out Boy.
Nice.
It was right as they signed to Fueled by Ramen. So it's crazy. Like Fall Out Boy was playing like every week in the Chicago area, in Chicago, probably from like 2002 to early 2003. But before they got signed to Fueled by Ramen, and then they just stopped, and then obviously blew up from there.
That's crazy. I mean, you played drums in Mayfield, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, is that your only band, or did you play in any other bands?
Nothing notable. Just garage bands.
That was a notable one,
before,
Mayfield.
Yeah, a couple garage bands before Mayfield, and Mayfield is where we took it more seriously than any other band that we had been in, and went and found a studio, recorded an EP, later recorded a full length. But like I mentioned before, it in hindsight, I was running a record label while I was doing the band. Like we were just doing it all ourselves and just figuring it out as we went.
Were you releasing Mayfield stuff on TDR then?
Yes. So yeah, we just released our own music, but like we wanted to act bigger than we were. So, we put a label name on the back of the CD, and we're like, yeah, we're on this record label. But because back then the goal was to get signed. If you were on a label, you stuck out then compared to somebody who did it on their own, which is kind of crazy now. It's like everyone is pretty much DIY these days, unless they're on a major label. So it's come a long way in the past 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's wild. And I mean, I definitely want to get to that later, but like, I feel like because you've done it on both sides, I mean, running a label and being in a band, but like the way people send music, how you sign bands, how you put music out, like all of that stuff, I'm sure has changed so wild, like so drastically over, 20 years. That's a lot of time for a change,
Yeah, for sure.
But so you did say you played the Fireside Bowl, so I assume you played some local shows. Did you guys tour at all?
Yeah, we toured. I mean, nothing in the like a month-long tours. Like we did some 1 to 2 week stints in the Midwest, on the East Coast, and then out west as well. So I mean, we got our feet wet with touring, and we played to nobody. Played some shows were good. Every other show was terrible, but it was everything that I had dreamed about doing after seeing like those Blink-182 DVDs where they're in the van
Yes.
talking about going to shows, and Newfound Glory doing the same thing. So it's like it's all I wanted to do when I saw bands growing up and knew that any band could tour and go play out of state. And then when we were doing it, it's like, this is awesome. But it was a great experience.
No, that's awesome. Do you play drums at all still?
I play steering wheel drums for sure. I have an electric kit, and I have my old kit, but I have not physically played in a while. I can't believe it's been over 10 years now, but I was on tour with Barely Blind, Set It Off, and With the Punches back in 2010.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that was another awesome tour to be on. And Set It Off's drummer ended up leaving the tour halfway through. and I hadn't played in a few years, but they were like, we need a drummer. And, I learned all the songs, and, I'd heard the songs because we were listening to them every night, but, really sat down and learned them in about a day.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I played the last week of shows with them, and it was awesome, quote, being in a band again, so that was a blast.
That's
And
pretty
then,
cool.
yeah. And then, a few years later, they were touring with Every Avenue for their last tour, and their last date of the tour was in Chicago, and they were like, hey, our drummer has to be out of here can't make this show for some reason. And they called me up, and I filled in again for them then, and it was at the Bottom Lounge, and it was in front of a 900 cap room, and yeah, again, it was a really cool experience. And it was only because we had toured with them, made friends with them, and it was nice that they thought of me and called me up to ask me.
Do you think you'd answer that call now if anyone ever asked you to come out of drum retirement? You see yourself ever doing that again?
It depends on the situation. I'm not going to say no, but I'm definitely not going to say yes.
I hear you. I could see that. Yeah, you'd probably want to know first. But as far as, so we're kind of talking about your bands, but I mean, getting into TDR, what initially to like start a label, like, I mean, was it just like you said to kind of pump up that you were self-releasing albums? Like, is that the whole reason why you kind of started TDR?
Yeah, I pretty much. I mean, I was promoting Mayfield, and I was promoting my band, but again, at the time, if you slapped a label on your CD, you stuck out from a lot of other local bands. So we did that, and I was doing everything that I do now to a degree, but just for the band, and now I just do it for the label and the bands that I work with.
What year did the label start?
So yeah, officially 2005. So that's when I filed the papers and everything, and started doing everything legit. Because at the time I was in my early 20s, so I was like, oh, let's try and do this. Let's see what happens. And, got it all legit and went on from there.
Who was the, outside of Mayfield, who was the first band that you signed to TDR?
I would say we had a couple releases before our first band. So we had, our self releases, and then we did a Punchline over it split 7-inch, which really got our name out there, which was awesome of those guys.
I own a few copies of that.
I bet you do. Yeah. And then we just started becoming friends with a bunch of bands, and we released a compilation called First Taste in the Morning in 2005. And there's like 18 bands on it. So, we were able to promote the label through the Punchline Over split, this 18 band compilation. And then from there, like, we built some clout, I guess. And we ended up coming across the Prize Fight from Philadelphia that year as well, in late 05. So I would say the first band that we officially signed, the Prize Fight.
No, that's a good first signing. That's
Yeah.
They're a great band.
Yeah, I was. It was interesting because I kind of had heard of them because they were on that Drive Through Records Pure Volume compilation that was released.
That big one.
Yeah. I mean, I'd heard of them through that, but I really didn't know much about the band. Like when I discovered them, they had 2 demos on Pure Volume, and that was it. There wasn't any of their old stuff. Nothing about anything that they had done before with horns, and the songs that I heard were just like, just kind of like emo rock, and with some pop punk in there. And what I heard was like, this is awesome. These guys would be awesome to release something from, and reached out to them, and we talked for over that summer of 05, and by the end of the year they had an EP recorded.
That's awesome. And it's cool too that you got to release that compilation too, because I feel like you were at the probably the very end of labels really putting comps out. I feel like, because I don't feel like much later after that you really saw bands do it so much, or labels, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. We did. I'm thinking back to that time, and we did 1,000 CDs with an unknown label, and 18 bands that were not really known. I mean, at the time, the biggest bands now, we had Valencia on there, we had Over It, we had the Swellers, we had All Time Low, a few other bands, but it's like at the time, no one knew about these bands, and I had heard of them from friends of friends, and it was cool to see some of these bands that lent us a song for this record to go on and do something bigger.
This is still a time, right, where you would find bands on like MySpace and Pure Volume, and like that's kind of where you'd find bands on the internet at that point.
Yeah, yes, MySpace and Pure Volume. This was they're bigger days.
Which I still swear by it all the time on here. I think MySpace is still the gold standard for discovering music online, and was the greatest form of it was all social media in one place for bands. You could hear them, see their tour dates, pictures, blogs, all that in one place. I miss that. It's all just it's splattered everywhere now, and everything's kind of like a half-ass version of what MySpace went when it was good. Obviously, it kind of got bad there in the end, but that was a good time for discovering music.
Yeah, definitely. I actually discovered and connected with some of the bands that I work with today, and back then it was like MySpace. Obviously, they folded, but it was a great promotional tool. You didn't have to pay to be on it. When you commented or messaged somebody, they didn't block it. You didn't have to have it. There wasn't any algorithms. It's like if you were a band on there, you could find people, and people could find you. So it was a great tool to have.
Yeah, I definitely miss that, but that it's like Insomniac. I could talk about MySpace for hours. So we'll get back to TDR. But when you started the label in the beginning, like what would you say was the hardest part first? When you first started running the label, what was like the first maybe hurdle you hit, or just like the hardest thing in the beginning?
Oh, the hardest thing was finding out, how do I get a CD pressed? Like no one had any idea how to do it. I mean, there was a few companies, and like I said, I couldn't go on the internet and search for CD companies. It's I had found out about this CD pressing plant in Canada from a friend. So that was our first ever CD pressing, and we bought them from Canada. And then from there we did find some US companies that would press CDs, but I mean, just like I had no idea about artwork, nothing like that. But I'm telling you, it goes back to when I first started going to shows, first started meeting people, playing in bands, meeting other bands. Everybody that I met along the way came back later to help in some way. So like the person I met at a show helped me find a CD pressing plant. Another person I met at a show helped me do artwork. And, from there, just anytime I needed something, it's like, oh, I think, this person knows how to do something like that. Let me talk to them. So it was all about meeting people and making those connections to help figure out what to do back then.
That's awesome, because I feel like that's something that you see a lot, like in this scene specifically, because I feel like I've even kind of done that myself with like going back, like starting this and kind of like, okay, like who have I met, like who, through different things. And like, I feel like it's a very close knit kind of like, punk, whatever. I mean, just, it's kind of a blanket statement, but like the scene in general. And it's like, it's kind of nice that it's like that. I think you can kind of be like, oh, if you want to start something, people are accessible and they'll help you. They're not like trying to like, knock you down a peg or look at you like your competition. They're kind of willing to help you and like kind of show you the ropes.
Yeah, definitely. I got that sense when I was doing it, because it was just you saw the same people at every show, and you just slowly became friends with them, and got to know them, and it was just cool to meet people like yourself. But along the way, you need some help with something. This person's good at street teaming, passing out flyers. They go to all these shows, and this person's good with artwork. They understand what Photoshop is, because I had no idea what the heck Photoshop was back then.
I still don't.
That's okay.
But another thing, you're talking about like a hard part of running the label, but what were a few things that like you didn't even realize that you had to do until you started running a label? Because I feel like there's a lot of things you wouldn't know that you had to do until you started doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to describe. Like I literally just jumped in, and whatever needed to happen, like that's what I focused on to get done. So, for the CD, it's like, all right, where do I get a CD pressed? Okay, I found this place. All right, how do I get a CD pressed? They have some instructions. I think we got like a packet mailed or something with instructions on how to do it. And, we got physical proofs mailed to us, which is not a thing anymore. And, it was just a long thing of, all right, I reached out to them. They sent me a packet. I got everything ready. I probably mailed them our artwork and everything on a CD or some kind of flash drive. I mean, it was just whenever there was something to do, I had to do that, focus on that, and then go on to the next thing. And then from there, it's like, all right, we have the CDs now. Now, how do we sell them or get rid of them? And, how do you sell stuff online? It's like, once we realized that there was, some more to it, it's like, all right, now I got to find out, where should I get mailers? How do I ship these? What's the best way to ship them? It's just, everything came we figured it out as it came.
You learned about media mail.
Oh yeah. The greatest invention of all time.
I you know what? I will not disagree with that. So I was also going to ask at this point with the label. Well, the other thing too is, like you were talking about kind of learning all that stuff. The other thing is that it's like, I bet it changes so fast. We kind of talked about it earlier. It's like you learn how to do those things. And then I feel like all of a sudden, a couple years in, it's like, oh no, you don't, like you said, you don't do proofs this way, or you don't do this or that anymore. It's like, it seems like as soon as you learn something, you have to learn it another way again.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, looking back, of course, I can say we got physical proofs before, and now it's like everything's digital, but it wasn't like an overnight thing. Things changed over years. I'll say, for example, CDs, like we pressed CDs up until 2013 or 2014, because people were still buying CDs. And I think it's only been in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years where people are like, you know what, I'm just doing digital or I'm just doing vinyl. But CDs were the way to go up until, just a few years ago.
Because I feel like even when you started, like, and I know you did the like Punchline Over It split, but like at that point, I feel like you were like kind of unique in doing the vinyl. Like I feel like that was a few years before vinyl really took off either. Like I feel like you probably put that out, and then you probably didn't put like vinyl out for a while in between, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's another thing. When we did the vinyl, that was a whole nother thing. I had no idea what it was. I just knew that vinyl was cool. And, our pitch to Punchline and Over It, because, back then they were fairly big, both of them, in 04, 05, when we started getting this together. And our pitch to them was like, hey, we want to do something with you guys, but we want to do something different that not a lot of people are doing. What do you think of a 7-inch? And they're like, that's actually really cool. What do you think about doing an acoustic song? Oh yeah, that I think that'll work. Those things really stuck out back then. And, we were fortunate to be able to do it, but at the same time, it was a whole nother learning thing. And if I could go back and do that release again, I would have done it, so many different ways. But just like everything that I've done, it got me to this point. Everything's a learning opportunity, and, you take the bad with the good.
So I know throughout the years, you've pressed everything. You've pressed things on CD, cassette, vinyl. What is the one that's like the biggest pain in the ass to get pressed? Like which one like takes the longest, is the most difficult, like, the hardest like turnaround time and everything?
Not counting the last couple years, everything was pretty straightforward. After the first couple times I did it, it was pretty easy. Like I knew what I had to do. I knew the artwork guidelines. I knew, how many I wanted to get, how many different colors, the packaging, all that. But, lately vinyl, everything that we've been working on and currently working on, it's just being delayed like, 3, 4, 5 months.
Oh geez.
Which, it's unfortunate, but it's just, not only is vinyl very popular, but, because of COVID, it's still a thing that's delaying how they're manufacturing stuff and, what supplies are even available. So, right now, vinyl records are, we got to plan probably 6 months out before we can, do something about it.
And, like overall, I mean, looking back now throughout the years, has it been easier or harder to run the label than you thought when you were starting, like in the beginning?
That's a great question. I would say when I started the label, I was fortunate. I didn't have a job. I was in school. I didn't have any responsibilities. So I got to basically work, how I saw fit. And I probably put in, I don't know, 80 hours a week for about a 5-year stretch, just being able to do whatever I wanted with the label and, find out how to reach people, find out how to do X, Y, and Z. But, through over the years, it's definitely dwindled down to where right now, I have, an idea of what I want to do, but I definitely don't put the amount of extra time into it. So like I'll spend the same amount of time making sure the release is awesome as far as the packaging goes, making sure it gets to the plants and everything and ordered. But, as far as the day-to-day stuff, it's, your life changes, you have different responsibilities. I have an actual real life job outside of the label. So this has become just my nice little hobby on the side. So I get to do anything I want to, but I don't spend as much time on it as I used to.
No, that makes sense. And I mean, it does. Like in college, a lot of times you definitely, you have a lot more free time than you end up having as life starts. I would definitely say like that's the best time. Like anyone who's trying to like start something, like start like around college, like when you can have that, like, you have winter breaks and things like that. Like, if you can have that time to really invest in something, because it can definitely get harder as it goes. But I'm sure it's also still really nice to have it now, to be able to like do that as a, as whatever, to have that as an outlet and release, the music that you want to release.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool that I'm still able to do this and enough people are paying attention for me to, make the next thing. But yeah, if I could not imagine starting a label at this point in my life right now. I think it would just be beyond an uphill battle. Cause when I started it, I was young. I didn't need to sleep. I probably slept 3 hours a night and I could still function fine. And, I was in school. Fortunately, my parents were like, yeah, as long as you're in school, do whatever you want. They thought the label was awesome. They thought being in a band was awesome. They let me take out some savings that were set aside for college to start the label. And, with that, I was off running and, just did whatever I wanted to do, which was, it was very fortunate. And then just got me to this point.
That's awesome. Shows are starting to come back. Are there any tours or specific shows coming around that you're looking forward to?
I'm going to next month, going to the Hella Mega Tour, Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer.
Oh, nice. That's going to be a good show.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be my first big public thing, so I'm anxious but excited to go back in and be semi-normal.
I take it you've seen all of them. Well, I don't know if you've seen Weezer, but I take it you've seen Fall Out Boy and Green Day many a times.
Yeah, no, I've never seen Weezer, so that'll be cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Interrupters as well.
That's right. They're great.
Yeah,
I forgot they were opening.
Yeah, I've seen Fall Out Boy at tons of venues in Chicago, and Green Day. This will be my 16th time seeing them.
Nice.
Yes.
That is awesome. So I mean, we're halfway through the year as well, halfway through 2021. Have you been listening to any new music? Have there been a few things this year that you've really enjoyed?
So I think
your own releases count too.
Sure, I'll talk about those later. But yeah, no. As far as like bands, I pretty much listen to the same stuff I did when I was in high school. All the same bands that are still around. I pretty much stopped, I think, listening to new music about 10 years ago, and I've just been stuck in my little bubble But the few bands that have broken through it in the past few years, Real Friends from Tinley Park and Neck Deep, those bands, of course, to me, Real Friends sounds like the starting line, but a little
Oh,
bit different.
definitely.
Neck Deep sounds like Newfound Glory, but a little bit different. But those, I love those bands, and I was so happy to see that Real Friends found a singer and released a couple awesome songs, and looking forward to hearing more from them.
Yeah, I was happy to see that because I was wondering what was going to happen for a while, and then I saw they were on the Pure Noise tour, and I was like, "Oh, okay, good." Like they must have found someone, and then I saw them. I'm like, "Oh, okay, good." Because for a second I was like, "Oh, I wonder like if if they'll keep going or not." But
Yeah,
that's all good.
they went silent once they said that Dan was out of the band, and I was like, oh man, what a shame. It's like that. It was cool because that band was from right down the street from where I grew up. They're a few years younger than me, so we never really connected. Kind of a funny story looking back when they, I think when they first started or shortly after, I was still living in the southwest suburbs, but Kyle reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you run a label. We're looking to. My band is looking for some space for a practice space and a merch place. Do you want to go in on half and get a place and run something?" And at the time I was moving to a different part of town, so it's like it wouldn't have worked out, but. In hindsight, if I can go back and circumstances were different, that would have been really cool to do with them.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. I mean, and I forget too sometimes that it's like they're like really big. Like if you think of like the newer pop punk bands, they're probably like one of the biggest, I would say.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until I saw them live. Like, wow, everybody is singing along to these songs. It's really cool, and I like them because they sound great, but I also really like them because they're from my area, and it's like it's awesome to be able to say, yeah, I'm from Chicago, big blankets, but lots of bands are from Chicago, and it's cool to when they post something online, it's like they're eating at this place or that place. Like, yeah, I know exactly what that is. It's cool that normal people came from nothing and were able to make something big.
No, that's awesome. That is really awesome. I wanted to ask you, I got a few more questions. Over the years, I know you have repressed a couple of records or pressed on vinyl for the first time. I know like the early November's, the Mother Mechanic in the Path, which I think turns like 15 this year. You've done a few things like that over the years. What would be a few dream albums if you could? Like, what are some dream albums you'd like to either repress, that haven't been pressed in years or have never been pressed at all on vinyl?
Anything from Drive Through. That would be awesome to do something again. Yeah, I would love to be able to license something from them again. I'm not sure what's going on with that. We'll see if anything happens in the future, but yeah, anything Newfound Glory starting line. I would love to do early November again. That was so awesome to do because I spent so many hours making sure that artwork and the records, I did it right. So I can give that album a proper release. It was really cool.
No, that is awesome. And what are a few future goals do you have for TDR? Like, do you have anything you can tell us to expect through the second half of 2021 or anything like that?
Sure. So I'm hoping, or we're looking forward to getting the Bobby Vaughn vinyl records in the mail. Like I said, they're being a little bit delayed right now, but we're hoping to have those in the next month or so. We have a few other releases that they're ready to go. We're just waiting for the right time to put them out there. But like I said before, as long as I keep putting stuff out, if people are paying attention, that's awesome. It's everything that I do is just goes back into the label, and it helps me be able to reach out and maybe find that early November and release and be able to kind of license that and put it out. So yeah, stuff coming out from bands that and we're looking forward to getting those out there.
That is really cool, and that is exciting. We just had Bobby on, I think, like 2 months ago, and really
Yeah.
enjoying the EP. So cool to see that get a vinyl release. Did that get a cassette release too, or no?
No, just vinyl,
Just
just
vinyl.
vinyl and digital. That's all that I'm focusing on these days. Whether it's only digital for sure, or if we do a vinyl pressing, that's going to be the only physical copy kind of thing.
So this might be hard, but I mean, for someone listening to this who's maybe new to TDR Records, what are a couple? I mean, they could be songs or just releases. Like, if someone was new to your label, what's maybe like 3 songs or albums if you want to get, you know what I mean? Like, either one that you would kind of steer someone in the direction to check out. And we'll definitely play some stuff from TDR as well after this. But like, what are a
Awesome.
few songs you would direct, or album, your choice?
Sure. Song wise, I mean, so few artists I'll say, and then one song. The 2 bands that I'm working with right now, Bobby Vaughn, new EP, self-titled EP. Maybe I'm Just Crazy. It's so catchy. It's a great song.
That's a jam.
Yeah, love that one. And then our other artist, Yellowbird Mantra.
Another great one.
We have an EP out from last year, but the song you got to check out is Beverly. It's just so good. He's a singer songwriter. It's acoustic with some other instrumental elements, and then past stuff. Obviously, Punchline for sure. Anything, but the Punchline record that I love and was able to be a part of was Delightfully Pleased. The album, probably my favorite song on there is 70, the opening track.
That's a great one.
And yeah. Otherwise, Barely Blind. 2 songs you can pick from: Inner Child or Panic Attacks Are Normal. And actually, Bobby Vaughn's previous band called The Promise Hero, they have a song, an album called Wait for the Sun. Just so catchy. Like, those songs still hold up. Everything still holds up to this day that I've released. I may be biased, but that's what I think, and it's been really cool to be a part of those albums and songs.
It's okay. I'll say it for you. Your stuff holds up. You got good stuff. Your label has good music. I'll say it for you. It's all right.
Appreciate that.
It's good. It ages like wine. But yeah, so that is awesome. We'll put. I guess I'll probably play all of those songs you mentioned, and I mean, we'll throw in here as we're closing up, because I know Drive Through is as near and dear to your heart as it is to mine. I mean, you want to pick a couple Drive Through songs? Like, we'll throw on here. I'll play a few here on the podcast and on the radio show. I'll probably play more, but throw like 1 or 2 Drive Through songs. I don't know. You can even pick like 3. I don't care.
Sure.
Just your favorites. They don't even have to be like an intro for people, but like, just 3 really good Drive Through songs.
I'll say Alistair, Somewhere Down in Fullerton.
Classic.
This is so hard.
I don't know. It really is. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'll say, like, okay, I'm going back early, but this is specific. So The Starting Line, Saddest Girl Story, but
Ooh,
the
I like
EP
it. Oh, the EP version?
Yes.
I
yes,
like
that.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, that one is great. And then the last one, I'll say Newfound Glory, Third and Long.
Ooh, actually, now is that one? Would you like it? Right, that one's on both self-titled. Nothing Gold Can Stay. Right?
No, that's Hit or Miss.
That's right. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Okay.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, those are songs that I played. I looked forward to listening to in my car when I got my driver's license. Man, I can even say anything from Midtown, Save the World, Lose the Girl. But yeah, we'll stick to those 3.
Those are all great. I was gonna say earlier, I did a whole report, or I guess I shouldn't say report. I did a presentation on a Saddest Girl Story once, because I did it on The Starting Line, and then had to like play a song and like describe and dissect the song and its key and tempo and everything. And I went with that one, and everyone loved it. Even the teacher, they all said that's a jam. Everyone enjoyed it, so I was happy about that. So, and I'm happy you picked that song.
Yeah.
But As we're closing up, I mean, where can people find you? Where can they find TDR Records? You know, people want to go find this stuff. Where can they go find it?
Yeah, it's tdrrecords.com, and you can go find TDR Records on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on there all the time. I love interacting with people and, you know, swapping links with music and stuff to listen to. And then, yeah, you can check out our bands. Bobby Vaughn, he just released a self-titled EP. We got it on Spotify and all Apple Music and all that stuff. There's a vinyl version. And then Yellowbird Mantra, like I said, singer-songwriter, acoustic. Got an EP called New England Summer. That's the latest. You can find just all of this on our socials or at tdrrecords.com.
That's awesome. And yeah, both of those, we've had Eben on and Bobby. I think actually it's crazy. I think Eben was on almost a year ago. It's crazy. I think that last EP, right? That came on like August of last year. Yeah, it was
wow. July 20, almost coming up on a year. Everything seems so much longer ago because of the freaking COVID thing. So yeah.
I can't believe it. So it's been about a year since he's been on, but yeah, we've had both of them on recently. And yeah, both those releases are great. So we'll play some stuff from them. We'll throw a couple drive-through songs on. We'll probably play more if you're listening to the radio show, but we'll put one or two on the podcast. So yeah, here is some TDR Records for you right here on the Power Chord Hour.
Stuck in your mind. Before you know, you've lost control. Is in your head. Sitting staring, wondering why. Watching life pass for your eyes. No, it shows that nothing ever holds you back. I wish you were. That's the lonely when you're not around. Waiting for you just to hear the sound. Say goodbye for tonight. Know that I'll see you around. Perfect smile bend. The way her hair blows in the wind. Everything you do just makes me want you back. Think about what I did wrong, wondering what took so long. If I could, I'd erase every word I said. I wish you were. I'm so lonely when you're not around. Waiting for you just to hear the sound. Say goodbye for tonight. Know that I'll see you around, around, around. I'll see you around. good right now. Saga. We shot for the moon and missed, so we discovered our own planet. There are nights I can't remember where I woke up on the floor. I've seen friends become successful and then be a friend no more. I've had my share of heartache, felt like throwing in the towel. But one thing is for sure, I'm feeling good and I'm coming for you in the morning. Ignore us, adore us. You're what keeps us hanging on. You're what keeps us hanging. You're what keeps us hanging on. There are nights I can't remember where I woke up on the floor. I've seen friends become successful and then be a friend no more. I've had my share of heartache, felt like throwing in the towel. But one thing is for sure,
I am feeling good right now.
it feels like things are always falling apart, like a sandcastle in water. And as the ocean keeps retreating from shore, I get sucked under the current. I want to satisfy you, I can't do what you won't tell me to. And if you doubt that I stick through, well I will, until you tell me to. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I think you hate me. All I know is lately, feels like time is wasted. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I think you hate me. Just been feeling lately, like my time is wasted. It appears you're not around anymore, like on a permanent vacation. A lot of hourglasses waiting on you, but hit me up when you get a second. I want to satisfy you, but it's cool, you just do what you do. And if you doubt that I stick through, well I will, until you tell me to. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I think you hate me. All I know is lately, feels like time is wasted. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I think you hate me. Just been feeling lately, like my time is wasted. Woo! I want to satisfy you, I can't do what you won't tell me to. And if you doubt that I stick through, well I will, until you tell me to. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I think you hate me. All I know is lately, feels like time is wasted. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I think you hate me. Just been feeling lately, like my time is wasted.
Right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast. That was Bobby Vaughn with Maybe I'm Just Crazy. Before that was Punchline with 70. Before that was Mayfield. That was Mike Hollins' band with Picture Perfect. And opening up that block of music was Barely Blind with Inner Child. All those excellent, excellent bands from TDR Records. You definitely got to go check them out. And I want to thank Mike Hollins for doing that. Really, really fun. And I really mean it, too, when I said in the beginning about, like, I can't believe it's taken 5 years to have you on. He falls in that category. You know, some people do. I'm sure I've said it on here before for a couple other people, but it is absolutely the truth that, you know, it's been far too long, you know, either having them back or having them on at all. It's just like, I can't believe, you know, even related, you know, Bobby Vaughn, who I just played for you, who's on TDR, you know, I said that he was on a couple months ago. And, you know, he'd been on before, but it had been like 4 years. And it's like, oh, damn, like, I didn't mean, you know, like, I can't believe I haven't had you since then, you know, but it just happens, you know, you start having other people, you just overlook it, you know, it's one of those things. It's like, you just kind of forget and, you just start hitting other people up and just kind of forget to hit them up. And it happens, but eventually you get to them. So, I mean, you know, it's not all bad. We now have this, but he's definitely going to be coming on sooner than later. I mean, it took 5 years to have him on, but that's my own fault. You know, sometimes I say that and I don't mean it like I've been asking him for 5 years and he's been saying no. I asked him once and he was like down with it, but it just took me that long, you know, my lazy ass to, you know, ask him. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. I really hope you enjoyed last week's with Richie Ramone. That was awesome. I mean, that man is a legend. And actually, truth be told, I recorded both of those back to back. I recorded with Mike on a Saturday night at like 6 o'clock, a little earlier. We talked. And that's actually kind of the reason why this was shorter. Actually, that is totally my bad as well, because I would never have booked them so close together because I wanted more time. Like, I've talked to Mike for a very long time. Like, I've loved his label for a really long time and everything. So it's like, I knew we would have tons to talk about, and there was so much more to talk about, but it's like, I had to kind of, you know, keep it short and sweet just for the sake of getting to, you know, Richie Ramone. But, you know, totally kind of my bad on that part with the overlapping on the bookings. But either way, I mean, I had fun with both of them. But yeah, I got off the phone with Mike, and I think I had like 5 minutes maybe in between. And then I called up Richie Ramone and did that one. And that was awesome, you know. But yeah, that was really cool. So go back if you haven't heard that. Go listen to last week's. But thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. And stay connected with the show at Power Chord Hour on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. What else? You know, I always promote myself at the end of these episodes, and you think I'd remember, but I always got to think for a second. PowerChordHour@gmail.com. I have Power Chord Hour stickers, and hit me up. I'll send you some. I do not have them yet. Depending on when you're listening to this, but it's still worth hitting me up because I do have Power Chord Hour stickers. But I did just order more in this really cool design that the company that I get stickers from. It's like a yellow sticker with black font, so it's kind of cool. It's a yellow sticker, and then it'll have the the regular Power Chord Hour logo in black, like it does on this one. The background, just instead of being white, it'll be yellow. So it's kind of cool. But those stickers are free. I'd love to send you some, so hit me up. I will send you some out. And yeah, if you listen to the radio show, you can also send me song requests there. And I always love getting them. I got a couple a few weeks ago, which doesn't always happen. Like, I get song requests, but I'd love more, honestly. Like, you know, if you listen to the show, I'd rather you not like send me song requests if you're not gonna listen. But like, you know, definitely. And I don't need them live either. That's the other thing. They don't need to be live song requests. Like, hit me up a few days. It's actually better. Hit me up in advance, and I'll put it on the playlist. And, just hit me up like, hey, I'd like to hear this song, or like send it out to this person, you know. So if you ever want to do that, powerchordhour@gmail.com. But yeah, follow us. And if you want to check out that radio show every Friday night on 107.9 WRFA in Jamestown, New York. And you can listen to that on WRFALP.com. And you can stream the station there. But 2 hours of music. I'm going to play this interview on there this week. And play some more songs. Probably not a ton of time, But actually, that's not true. Actually, what am I saying? I probably have like a whole hour to play music, so I'll play a lot of TDR bands and other like related artists. So if you want to tune into that, I mean, same. I'll be honest, you'll hear the same interview, but a bunch of music afterwards and me talking. So if you want to hear me talk even more, but you can hear me talk there, but it won't be here because I'm done talking. Thank you very much for checking out this episode. And until the next episode, and tune back in next week because we have the July rundown of the Power Chord Hour. But until then, for the Power Chord Hour podcast, I'm Anthony Merchant. Thanks for listening.